In our Lakota Star knowledge, we have this character by the name of Unk. And in our stories, there's a part that talks about when the Earth was first created. The Earth was, like a little child. It's very temperamental, because you have to remember in the beginning, there she's cooling down, yeah, because she's formed by a lot of meteors running into each other, and as they slam into each other, the impact is so hard that it builds up this heat, and this is what kind of melds them together. Yeah, these meteorites, it melds them together, and then we have this Earth, and as she's cooling down, now we get created a water cycle and also the ozone layer. And this is where Shka, another member of the Wakan, comes into being, and then the water cycle begins. Yeah, and so she's cooling off. As during this time period, she's very temperamental. You have to remember, she's still hot, and she's very demanding, and she pouts, and she's just really no good, yeah. Like a spoiled little brat, you know what I mean? That's our Earth. In the beginning, yeah. Like a child, yeah. And as she gets older, she becomes wiser and motherly, and now in our songs we call her Unchimaka, grandmother Earth, yeah. Okay. Anyway, during the time period where she is really immature, she has a sister friend. You could say a best friend. Well, I'll just say sister friend, and this sister friend is named Unk. Unk was a very beautiful woman, and she was, when Unk walks on the earth, the plants really bend to her. They really, they're really loving towards Unk, and as the small animals are coming into existence, they just flock to her. Yeah, they just like to be in her presence, and so Maha, the Earth, gets jealous of this because you have to remember she's still immature. She's like a teenager, yeah. Even though she's already about 1,000,000 years old, she's using our time, what they call, but in her time period, she's a teenager, yeah. and she's just not making good decisions at all, yeah. Then she gets jealous of Unk and throws her in the water and says, "You stay there, because the earth is more powerful." Yeah, so she has it so that that Unk cannot leave the water. So Unk gets very upset because she didn't do anything wrong. She didn't, she didn't try to muscle away her around the earth. The animals just came to her. She was a very loving woman. She was very peaceful. She was really a nice lady, and the earth really did do her wrong. So, but you have to remember, Unk is also young too. So Unk seeks revenge. And there's a time period where the Wakan, and I have to always interject this in there. At the beginning of the reservations, the Christian priests changed certain Lakota words to mean something different, more along the lines of the way Christians think. And the word Wakan is one of those things that they changed the definition. Wakan is the organization of several individuals. There's men in there, there's women, there's a hermaphrodite in there, and there's also an androgynous person in there. For those of you that don't know what that means, androgynous means they have no gender. They're neither male or female. And then there's one that's both. It's both a man and a woman at the same time. Yeah. So, and there's some animals that are also members of this Wakan Tanka. Now that's the first one. A little while later, I'm jumping ahead. Let me just end it right there. I mean that part. So that's Wakan Tanka. It's an organization. It's not God. See, the Christian priests, they, whatever of Lakota beliefs conflicted with the Bible, and it was most of them, the priest said, well, since it conflicts with the Bible, that means it comes from the devil. So that means Lakota ways are evil. But there were some things they used from our stories to bring Indians into the Christianization process, which was basically a brainwashing. And what they did was they took some words and they gave them Christian definitions. Now, how did we accept that so easily? I think I said it earlier, but I'll say it again real quick. At that time, we couldn't leave the reservations. They were like prisons. We were not allowed anything to hunt with. And so we could only eat the food that the government gave us, and it was really unhealthy food. It resulted in us getting diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. And so we're hit physically. Yeah, we can't eat the foods that our bodies are used to. And then our language was made illegal, so now we're hit emotionally. Yeah, and then our ceremonies were outlawed, so now we're hit spiritually. So here you have the body, the soul, and the emotions. Yeah, there's only one more part left. That's the mind. This is the 4 parts of the self. So those 3 parts were attacked all at the same time: the physical body, the emotional self, and the soul. So then our minds became weak. Now we were in this state to be brainwashed. This is the same process that terrorists use to bring in their new recruits. It's also the same process that Christians use too. Yeah, they deprive you of something, and this way they can control your mind. This is what happened to us. We were deprived of the foods that we need. We were deprived of our spirituality. We were deprived of our language, which affected the emotional part of ourself, and that's how we became weak-minded. And so we and if anybody still fought against this, you were sent to a mental home. Yeah, in Canton, South Dakota, there was a mental asylum created for the sole purpose of sending Indians there who did not comply to the Christianization process that was happening all over America. And they sent holy people and medicine people there too. This way, the Indians can't go to them for help. So they have no other place to go but to the church. So this is what happened in America. So because of that, Indians started to accept these Christianized definitions of words, one of them being Wakan Tanka. So today, if you go on a reservation and ask anybody, what does Wakan Tanka mean? Most people, 99% of the people are going to say it means God, the Creator. And that's incorrect. Yeah, what it means is it's an organization. And their ways are mysterious. Mysterious means they're sacred. That's why it's Wakan. Yeah, and it's energy. It has to do with energy. So this is what that means. So Wakan Tanka is an organization. It's not God. Okay? So now back to the story. So there was a certain time period where the members of the Wakan Tanka created beings that once they create these beings, they put their energy into these beings. So, for example, the ozone. creates things, and there are things living in the ozone, and people don't want to talk about those. I don't know why, but they are there. You can find film footage if you look hard enough on YouTube. You can find film footage of these things. It's like a zoo up there. Yeah, it's like they're kind of like a different. It's like they're alien-looking jellyfish. Yeah, that's the best way to describe them. And they're just going around up there. They serve a purpose. Yeah, these are the creatures that are eating up dangerous elements that are coming from outer space. They're protecting us. They're helping us to live. So be careful with your hairspray. Yeah, that kind of thing. And be mindful of the ozone layer, because there's beings there that are helping us live. They're keeping out dangerous rays from the sun and stuff like that. They're really serving a sacred thing there. Yeah. There's beings that live in the fire that people don't know about. That the sun is one of a member of the Wakan too, and that's what he created, was fire beings, and they're sacred as well. The thunder, Wakia, creates other thunders, other thunder beings, and on and on and on like that. Yeah, and so they still allow Unk to create things too. Remember, Unk was this really beautiful lady that the earth threw in the water, and she was part of this Wakan too. Yeah, and so since the members were saying that, hey, we're doing this, we have to let her do that too, because she's still with us. Yeah, even though she's in the water, she still has to be allowed to do that. So she starts creating things. But remember, Unk is still immature too. She wants to seek revenge against the earth for throwing her in the water. So Unk creates these beings that they live in the water, but they can also go on the land. And they're supposed to cause trouble on the earth. They're supposed to bring contention. So Unk, it means something that is disturbing, and it could do with smell and sight and sound. It affects all your five senses. What are they again? Sight, sense, smell, touch, and what's the other one? Do I have that right? Taste. Yeah, taste. So they affect those in a very disturbing way. Yeah. So when one is around, you really feel something wrong. You just feel troubled. Yeah. You feel just disturbed. And this presented a problem. Once people came on the earth, this presented a problem, because these beings were on the earth before people were. Yeah, so there's another story in which the creation of the drum happens, and that's another story. I don't want to confuse you, so I'll just talk about the result of that story. The result of that story is that the people were hitting this drum and singing a song, and the Wakia, the thunder being, she thought it was another one. Now this was before she created her other thunder being, so she was the only one at that time. And so when she heard this, she thought it was another one. So she went and flew, and she was looking for it, and she found the sound, and here she saw all these people hitting the drum, and that really made her feel good. Yeah, and so after they got done singing, she gave her power to that drum, and she said, anytime you're feeling sick, anytime you're feeling sad or lonely or lonesome, just hit this drum. So hit the drum, and you will feel better. It has my cleansing power, she said. And the same thing for rattles. Yeah, that she gave them the cleansing power. So you're supposed to, whenever you're. This is why we have a drum. Yeah, for celebration, but also for when we're feeling down. This helps us to feel better. It energizes us. Yeah, it re-energizes us again. So this is that's the star knowledge. what do you call it? Explanation concerning the drum. Today, a lot of people say, "Yeah, it's the heartbeat of Mother Earth." That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thought, but it's more than that. Yeah, it's a healing thing, and it's because of the thunder being. Yeah. So these creatures. Now let's go jump back to the story again. These creatures that Unk created, they're really scared of this. Yeah. Whenever they hear a drum, oh man, they turn around. They're like, oh, they run and jump in the water and they take off. There's something about that sound of a drum that just drives them crazy, and they really get scared. No matter how monstrous they are, they can't stand it. So they look for wherever there's water. No matter how big they are, they might find a little puddle of water. As long as it's water, they can go through it, and they're back in the water world. That's how that happens. Yeah, this is really an interesting thing. And so that's why it's a good idea to have a drum. Yeah. You don't have to be Indian. Yeah. So this is you don't have to have it blessed in the ceremony. All you gotta do is hit the drum and voila, its power is there now. Yeah, it's coming from the thunder being. Anyway, these creatures, like I said, the creatures that Unk made to cause trouble, they're really disturbing. They smell really bad for one thing, and it's just the kind of stink that makes you go, ooh, your whole body shakes and like, gee, that's rugged. You know what I mean? Like that. That's really a rugged stink, yeah? That's what they smell like. And that's why this word comes into existence, unkje. Yeah? Unk is a contentious energy. Unkje is the smell of it. Yeah? And a lot of them have a brownish color, and that's ri. So that's why they're called unkjeri. There's some you can't see with your eyes. Yeah? You cannot see them with your eyes. That's how small they are. And they're in the water, and they make the water dangerous. That if you drink it, you get sick in the stomach. Ooh, what is that? What could that be? Yeah, these are microorganisms. Yeah, we have a word for that. Isn't that interesting? And how do we have this word? Yeah, somebody must have saw it. Now we can't see it with our eyes, so how did they see it? See, this is how Lakota star knowledge is. It talks about a time when we had a technology. It's not here anymore. It was destroyed because the people went selfish, and they used it against each other, and it violated the earth. So the earth shook her back and started all over again. Yeah? And the only people who survived were those that were communicating from their sacred centers, because there's a piece of the earth there too, at the sacred center. And in your sacred center, there's a piece of the earth there. And so when you're living in that healthy way, and she calls you to safety, you hear it. But if you're communicating as an Indian, you're not going to hear it. Yeah, you have to communicate as a human to be able to hear the earth. So the humans that were saved were those that were communicating from their sacred centers, and most of the people were not. So most Indians were destroyed too during that cleansing, and she took all that technology inside of her into the core, and it's gone. It's destroyed. Now it looks like it's going to happen again. Yeah, because the same thing is happening. So anyway, so what this is saying is that the earth doesn't need us. We need the earth. She gives us everything. And you know, I saw a TV commercial on this on CNN just a couple days ago, but they were saying nature, yeah, nature does not need people. People need nature, but nature does not need people. And then it shows all these things happening all over the earth, these floodings and earthquakes and tornadoes and hurricanes and weather bombs and, you know, all these kind of things that are happening all over the world today. It's a really good commercial, and I just had to sit up and I was like, finally, this is probably the best commercial I ever seen in my life. It's telling the truth. Yeah, this is what Lakota Star Knowledge is all about. Yeah, the earth is alive, and she doesn't need us. We need her. Yeah. So that was really cool. Anyway, this Unk, always coming back to this Unk because you can see the evidence of her creations. She created beings that, you know, like I said, she was angry at the earth for throwing her in the water when she didn't do anything to deserve that. But instead of seeking justice, she sought revenge, and revenge is never justice. And then she wanted to, cause trouble for every Wakan member. So the other members said, "Well, you know what? You made those creatures; they're going to live with you." So most of them are in the water. And she, in the Lakota Star Knowledge story, tells you, it tells us that these creatures are just funny looking. And I was just thinking about this because earlier today I saw some deep sea thing went really deep into the, I don't know if it was the Pacific or where they were at. They went really deep and they were filming what's down there. And they finally got a video of this angler fish, what they call the black sea devil. And for those of you that have seen that animated show Finding Nemo, you see a cartoon version of it in there, yeah, when it tricks them. That's a funny movie. Anyway, this like I said, Unk, when she was creating these creatures, she created them to be just hideous and ugly, and this was to spite the other Wakantanka. And so they told her, well, they're going to live with you anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. So as I was looking at this videotape, because this is the first video that they ever filmed of this fish. I mean, they've taken photos of it. There's cameras that have gone down there, taken snapshots and stuff like that. But this is the first video of this thing swimming around down there. And you look at this thing, and it is scarier than shit, yeah? I saw this and I was like, Jesus Christ, man, imagine waking up to something like that. Holy man, it's a really hideous looking thing. And it's weird, yeah? It looks really, really weird. And right away, when I saw this thing, the first word that came to my mind was Unk. This is her creation. Yeah? So then, you know, we look at our stories and you really have to wonder, how do we know these things? I mean, how is it that the stories have this information? That Unk, you know, there's these hideous looking things that live in the water, and you know, they are dangerous. They really, really are dangerous. And how is it that you know, because it's just within the past few years that humans have developed a machine to go down that deep. But how is it that it's appearing in our Lakota Star Knowledge stories? See, again, it hints at a technology. Same thing as what I was saying with microorganisms. It hints at a technology. and also with the beings that live in the ozone and in the beings that live in the fire. These are all really interesting. Now, there's other tribes too that have something called a water baby. That's really scary. Again, that's coming from a very similar um, thought process. I mean, a very similar idea of our unk, yeah, of these creatures that are made to cause problems, and coming from the water, and then going back in there, stuff like that. Really, there's so many stories that come from this. These beings are called Nkjeji La, and there's so many stories that even today the people are still seeing these things. Some of them, like there's all kinds. They're not just fish, but there's certain kind that can come on the land and walk around, and then they go back in the water again. Really interesting things. Yeah, and then there's one, the turtle. This was created by Unk, but the turtle has this. I don't care about anybody. I'm just gonna stay here. Yeah. Lives in the water, lives on the land. It doesn't want to have anything to do with anybody. And this is the thunder being made a pact with this turtle, saying if you be my ally, we can really we can deal effectively with these Nkjeji, the ones that are in the water. And in the beginning, the turtle said, "Well, why should I? Yeah, I don't need this." And then after discussion, Wakia, the thunder being, gives power to the turtle, and the turtle says, "Okay, I will be your ally." And so then, since then, that's the one that broke away from Unk, yeah, the turtle. So since then, the turtle is the ally with the thunder being. So if you have a pond, if you're building a pond, put a turtle there because it's gonna keep it clean. Yeah, a pond. It's always good to have a turtle there so that they help keep things clean, and the fish will not mind. Yeah. I know people like that here, yeah, that have gardens and that's what they do. Yeah, they have turtles there so that it keeps the water clean. So anyway, just something I was thinking of today, yeah, and then like I said, after time it goes by, now people grow up, people mature, yeah. The earth became a mother, and she became very motherly, and started to become wise as she became a grandmother. This happened to other members too, in these stories. So Unk also became grandmotherly. She became wise. She became motherly, then grandmotherly, I meant to say. So they don't have this war against each other anymore. So when they change like that, then Unk was now allowed to start the second Wakan Tanka. So now there's more than one. Yeah. So it's really an interesting development. So now when the earth is going to cleanse herself, Unk is going to help too in that cleansing. So it makes you wonder, yeah, when you hear these things in the news and people are starting to see fish that they thought were extinct, and I think this is saying something. Yeah, when you think about that. Now look at what's in the news. Yeah, this tornado hit California. Yeah, Los Angeles got a tornado. It was a small one, but still ripped some roofs off some houses. There's footage on it on the news. If you can just look on CNN or go to YouTube or whatever, and they say, yeah, California gets her tornadoes every now and then, but this time of the year it's kind of out of place. Yeah, because they really got bombed yesterday, and gee, I bet that's a word you're not supposed to say. CIA is probably like, oh hey, what that guy say? gonna hear some door knocking here in about 10 minutes. We're gonna get my rope ready. I'm gonna jump out the window and James Bond style here. Shoot. My luck, the rope probably won't even be long enough, and I'll have to let go and kind of put a dent in the sidewalk outside and limp away. Oh, shoot. Oh gosh. Anyway, I mean, yeah, California there really got a lot of rain and it caused a lot of mudslides, and there's all these nice neighborhoods that are just buried. I'm sorry, but why do they even live there in the first place? Indians never live there because they know those things happen. Yeah? But all these rich lawyers and plastic surgeons and bankers, they make their homes there, and these mudslides happen and all you see is a rooftop, yeah? The house is completely gone. Just the rooftop is there. So things are happening. Yeah, we talked about that the other day. You're hearing weird weather terms like weather bomb, earthquake swarms, Pineapple Express, and some kind of river that happens in the clouds, and some strange weather's happening. Yeah, this is again. Yeah, I'm coming back to that TV commercial when it says the Earth doesn't need people. The people, we need the Earth. And but they say nature. Yeah, it's the same thing. But it's a really cool. I'm gonna try to find that. I hope it's on YouTube. So I'm gonna put that on my Facebook page. It's a really good commercial.